treaties that were made on these lands and acknowledge that Brown University is located in both Treaties 1 and Treaties 2 lands. On behalf of BU, I welcome you to the traditional homelands of Dakota, Anishinaabe, Oji, Cree, Daniel, and the Red River Métis. Tonight's concert will serve as the official opening of Homecoming 2022, which is a lot of fun. I was saying to a couple of people just earlier on today, I was in the Louis Riel room looking out, and it was a very serious meeting. I couldn't help but smile. And someone said, "Why are you smiling?" I said, "Because I'm watching all these students change classes and walk across campus again. And it's going to be great to watch people, alumni, friends of BU walk across this campus this homecoming, whether it's tomorrow, when we have a little bit of fun on the track before some of the games that are being played, whether it's Saturday with a whole bunch of activities and the dinner again. It's just remarkable. Can't wait for that to happen. I want you to welcome all of you for homecoming weekend. We have a great list of activities, I've said, and I'm happy to see everyone here to experience this evening. We are blessed at BU to have some of the most talented musicians around. We're in for a real treat tonight. Enough from me, and I'm now going to introduce the Dean of Music, Greg Gation, who will give further introductions, and we'll get right on with the festivities and music. Thank you very much, and welcome.
Thank you so much, David. And thanks to all of you for being here with us tonight. We are celebrating a few things, I think. The return of live performance is still a joy to me that is not to be taken for granted. Let's celebrate that we can be together in this great space, about to listen to 3 great musicians. We also celebrate our university and its remarkable School of Music, our treasured alumni, and our fabulous students, faculty, and staff. We celebrate our beloved community and welcome all of you back into our building. And tonight's concert is also, for me at least, a celebration of our community's ingenuity and generosity. In the summer of 2020, which seems kind of like a really long time ago to me, it was a little bit bleak, our brilliant piano team of Alexander Tselyakov, Everett Hopfner, Mark Kramer, and Megumi Masaki, I just wanted to make sure Mark was here, concluded that in the school's piano renewal plan, our highest priority was replacing our beautiful but worn-out 9-foot concert D Steinway, which was quite a daunting task, particularly at that time. Our venerable, almost 40-year-old concert D was increasingly worn out and unable to support performance at a world-class level. We saved and reallocated money. We received wonderful support from our university. So when I thank David, I especially thank David, but I'd also like to mention Scott and Kristen, and those of us who would know who they are, but we wouldn't be here without them. We also had an enormously generous member of our community step up without hesitation or reservation on a single phone call from me to get us across the finish line in terms of having enough money to replace our piano. And we will have a separate occasion to celebrate that person's generosity. Before introducing this evening's performers, I would like to introduce Mark Kramer. Mark maintains all of our school's pianos, which is about 70 instruments of different shapes, sizes, ages, purposes, and personalities. Mark's belief and practice is that our students and faculty should be able to work on professional caliber instruments and experience consistency as they move from practice room to faculty studio to classroom to rehearsal hall to this stage and to the world. We're talking about and have this consistency, and what we're talking about with consistency, which I'm saying we, but I'm really saying Mark and our piano team, we're talking about the consistency of touch, weight, bounce, intonation, balance, and sound in an extremely nuanced way that I remember hearing Mark describe to me in my office, and I was in awe. It was certainly over my head. Mark's work in striving for this goal is in and of itself a form of artistry. And Mark has reached a level of artistry on the highest level, much like the performers who are waiting very patiently to get on stage and start playing. Part of our school's extraordinary reputation is rooted in having among the very best maintained fleet of pianos in Canada. And please know that our pianos are a crucial tool in the education and the experience of all of our students and most of our faculty in this building. The piano is an essential part of any kind of musical education. So please join me in thanking Mark for all that he does on our behalf and for bringing this beautiful piano to our school. Thank you, Mark, and we wish you were with us tonight. I mentioned earlier that tonight's performers are equally responsible for the gift of this instrument. In addition to their unanimous vision in terms of how we're going to manage our piano fleet and what the school most needs, this group, this time last year, almost, I think it would have been last week of last year, went to New York with Mark and spent hours at the Steinway factory carefully selecting the instrument on stage. Who better to select the Concert D Steinway that will serve our students, faculty, and community for decades to come than this incredible team? Earlier today, when I was trying to draft my opening remarks, I was attempting to individually introduce each of tonight's performers. And in my brief and painful rehearsal, it was clearly too long, given their extraordinary careers and the unpleasant sound of my voice. Yeah, it wasn't good. I cannot adequately or succinctly summarize their accomplishments. I tried. Didn't work. So, I'm going to try to introduce them as a group. It's really impossible. But, as a group, you are going to hear from a member of the Order of Manitoba, a prize winner at the Tchaikovsky competition, a former winner of the Everett National Music Competition, a fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, the director of the Eckhart Grammaté Conservatory of Music, the artistic director of the Clear Lake Chamber Music Festival, the artistic director of the Pender Harbor Chamber Music Festival, the artistic director of the Everett National Competition. Each of them are performers who are known and admired across the world. They each have extensive recording careers. They each have brilliant careers as teachers. And each of them are people whom I admire beyond words. We are so fortunate to have Everett Hopfner, Alexander Tselyakov, and Megumi Masaki living and working here in Brandon. I thank these three colleagues for their incredible work, leadership, and kindness. I am positive that you will enjoy tonight's concert. And without further ado, please silence your devices and join me in welcoming Megumi to the stage.
Thank you all for being here. I heard that some of you are driving through snow to join us this evening. And in preparation, I was also thinking about my very first journey to Brandon and Brandon University when I moved from Germany to Manitoba. I moved back to Manitoba in 2016. As this is homecoming, I really wanted to reflect on what does that mean. And what does Brandon University and the School of Music mean for our community here and far away, and to all of you? I'd just like to share a memory. In almost the first week of my work here and my time here, I was invited for lunch by the parents of one of my first piano students here in the School of Music. And thinking, wow, this never happens in Germany that I get to meet the family right away. I looked forward to this and went for lunch, and they silently served this beautiful meal. And the father looked up at me and said, "So, what does a Bachelor of Music from Brandon University School of Music, what is this going to do for my son?" And so without hesitation, I said, "It's going to make the world and all of us a better place." He looked straight at me, and that was the end of the conversation. In that way, he accepted it, And I really have taken that conversation as motivation and inspiration in everything that I do, in all of the teaching that I do, and all of the work that I do. I take it to heart. I understood how much it meant to the families, how much it meant to the communities, that their children and become alumni, proud graduates of the School of Music at Brown University. So, I'd like to share some of the research that has grown out of that conversation, that wisdom, that question, that inspiration from a community member. I'd like to share a part of a project that really means a lot to me called Hearing Ice. This project is in collaboration with, so far, 13 communities across Canada, in Iceland, in the States, and now in Japan. We are speaking with communities, with chiefs, with elders, with knowledge keepers, with youth activists, with houseboaters, with off-the-grid people, ice truck drivers, harvesters, and people, students, teachers, and communities like you and I. And we're listening to their concerns and the impacts and the consequences that climate change has had on their lives. And what better way to collaborate with scientists and communities and to amplify their voices through music and truly to try to make this world a better place. Music can access this daunting subject of climate change through sound and image, through emotion, and through fantasy and imagination. And our hope is to motivate dialogue, to make us think about everything that we do every day, to understand the dilemmas, the consequences, the challenges, and the detriments that are facing communities that are so dependent on the ice. One of the composers is Ian Cuson. He is a composer of art song and opera and orchestral work, of Métis and French-Canadian descent. His work explores Canadian Indigenous experience, including the history of the Métis people, the hybridity of mixed racial identity, and the intersection of Western and Indigenous cultures. Ian was the inaugural Carrefour Composer-in-Residence for the National Arts Centre Orchestra and was Composer-in-Residence for the Canadian Opera Company. So many accolades, again, more than I can say, but he has such ties to Brown University School of Music. He so generously has given time and his music as a featured composer in several of our Brown University New Music Festival. He honored the School of Music by giving us the privilege to perform Dodo Montupeti for the opera Louis Riel by Mavor Moore and Harry Summers. With that one work, he was able to bridge conflict, help healing and reconciliation with this very important work by Harry Summers and Mavor Moore, but also with the concerns and the hurt of the Indigenous peoples of whom that piece was stolen. And through Ian's music and through his healing wishes, he was able to bridge these communities together. And he gave us the privilege, after the premiere, the professional premiere, he gave us the privilege here at Brown University to perform that work. The work that you'll be hearing is called Frozen Road. It is a dialogue for piano and spoken voice featuring the stories of Beausoleil First Nation member Amber King, as she reflects on the changing nature of her community's ice road, the lifeline that connects the island reserve to the mainland during the cold season. The work celebrates the joy, resilience, and endurance of a community that has learned to adapt to the realities of climate change. Thank you, Ian Cuson, for trusting me with this beautiful work, Frozen Road. We obviously talked too long because my computer went to sleep.
Ani Bojo, Pichikwe Indishnakas, Megazay Dodam, Chimnasing Donjaba Ojibwe Anishinaabe. So my Anishinaabe name is Pichikwe, which is Robin Woman. I'm from the Eagle Clan. My community is Bosley First Nation, otherwise known as Chimnasing. So I'm also an Ojibwe Anishinaabe. My parents and my grandparents are all from Bosley First Nation on the southern tip of Georgia Bay. When I speak, it's always on my own behalf, and I only speak on behalf of my daughters. But I do the insight of, being a community member. So, I don't like to speak for all Indigenous people or my own people. I think my perspective is one of 2,600 people. That's how I like to look at it. That would be our safety net, right? So anytime it was blizzardy or really windy and there was snow, you'd always look for the tree line and hug the tree line so that you could know the road to get back and forth. I think about when I was little and I wasn't afraid because I was with my parents, right? But then when I became an adult and started working in the community and stuff, I think that's when my fear kicked in, where I was like, oh yeah, like we have lost community members who've gone through the ice and vehicles and died. And then, it's a way of life, right? So you have to get to town to get groceries because we don't have that stuff there. So, you're gonna do everything you can, and just thinking about, you're driving a vehicle across unpredictable ice, getting over there, unpredictable weather changes, and then you're taking your life in your own hands. Now as an adult, it's terrifying. My dad remembers being about 10, walking across the bay with a sleigh to meet a taxi cab bringing groceries to Cedar Point side. And then my dad would take the hour and 20-minute walk back with all their groceries and then toboggan. When we were coming back, there was a bunch of guys parked on the landing by the old charcoal pit on the island, and they were all just sitting there and we're wondering what's going on. And what had happened was a pressure crack came up, so it went into the ice road. So with the pressure crack, all the water was coming up onto the ice, so you could see that wet spot. So everybody was trying to figure out how deep it was, how bad the crack was. Nobody had really got in. So of course my dad is like, okay, well we gotta get back to the other side, let's go. my dad, so I didn't question it. So our seasons used to be really long, right? So climate change has really impacted that. So it used to run probably, we'd probably get in a good season from the end of November to like late April was our usual season when I was little. And now, like, we've had years where we haven't had an ice road. We have the passenger ferry, which can cut through some of the ice, but then, there's a weird transition now because of climate change that the ice road doesn't become a full ice road, so some snowmobilers will use it. Cars, some of them can't go across because it's too unstable. It's a different way of life, but I think everybody's just so used to adapting to it, right? Because that channel is the lifeline for the community members at BFN. It's cool to think of, like, how strong my people are from my community. Like, it's amazing because, like, it's so easy for people to say, why don't you just leave? But how do you just leave your homelands?
It's my great pleasure to participate in this special event, homecoming concert and celebration of a new piano and wonderful acquisition of Lord Watson. I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to people who were involved in this happy process. First of all, generous sponsor who donating and providing School of Music with a world-class instrument, Stanley D, grand piano, and realization of many dreams in piano department, getting a new instrument. And of course, Dean of School of Music, Greg Cation, and our piano man, Mark Kramer, who organized our fantastic, adventurous, and fun trip to Steinway Factory in New York exactly a year ago. And now you see and listen to a very good result. I'm going to play the most popular pieces by Rachmaninoff, Prelude in G major, Opus 32 number 5, and Revolutionary Etude by Frédéric Chopin.
I'm just realizing I maybe shouldn't have touched it. I've left my handprint on it now, I feel a bit guilty. It's been very special to have this lovely instrument to play the last little while. What a gift. Thank you all for being here. I was sitting in the hall during Megumi and Alexander's performances because this is a special place for me. And getting ready for this concert this evening, I was thinking a lot about my first time in this hall. I was about 10 years old. I was here for Provincial Music Festival. I was proudly representing St. Rose, population 1,000, and I thought, yeah, here we are. And I walked in here and I was sitting somewhere over there and I saw the previous occupant of this hall, the former piano, and my jaw dropped. And I realized I would get to play this thing, and I was kind of overwhelmed by this prospect, and I think I got so nervous that I set like a land speed record for getting on the stage and playing and leaving the stage. It was not my best work, but it was pretty exciting, and it prompted, I think, that experience shared with me just this really eager, enthusiastic excitement about what is possible when we have these kinds of tools to work with. It's such a special gift to have this piano. I've really been enjoying it. And I've programmed a couple pieces this evening a little bit selfishly, so I hope you'll all forgive me for this. The first piece is Sumitones by Phyllis Chen, and what I love about this piece is it just gives me the opportunity to touch almost every key and listen to almost every possible combination of sounds I can think of. It's mostly one note at a time, and I just kind of get to, it's almost like hanging up ornaments or something. I get to just listen to one note and go, oh, that's pretty. And then listen to another one and go, oh, that's pretty too. So I'm really excited to play Sumitones for all of you, and I hope you'll enjoy my little note decorations with you. And the second piece is by Eka Gramate herself. Eka Gramate was a child prodigy, brilliant violinist, pianist, and composer, and left an incredible legacy on Canadian music. It seems like it's a name that's followed me my entire life. When I was a student, I was registered in the Eka Gramate Conservatory of Music, and I was a two-time competitor in the Eka Gramate National Music Competition, and now I direct the Eka Gramate Conservatory of Music, so it's a name that's following me around, and I've really gotten to appreciate Sanya's music very much. And as we're celebrating the new tonight, I think it's worth taking a moment to celebrate the history, the circumstances that bring us all together in this room, the long tradition of excellence of teaching and learning in this community. And I thought it was appropriate to share a piece by Eka Gramate tonight. So it's her first piano caprice, which is a portrait of Ferdinand Eckert, the nun who would become her second husband. And I think by the sound of the piece, she probably liked him a little bit. Sumitones and Tibet Caprice number 1 by Everett. Okay, thank you.
I just want to say what an honor and how grateful I am to Mark Kramer for this incredible work to bring this piano to our concert hall. As we heard the words of Everett Hopfner, how an instrument can inspire a young musician to blossom and to inspire and to motivate them to be the artist that he's become. I'm so proud to be on the stage with him. He was one of my first students here at Brandon University, and what a glorious artist he has become, and a very treasured colleague, as well as, of course, Alexander Tselyakov, who is really a great pianist of our time. So I just wanted for us not to get too comfortable with this gorgeous new instrument that is going to be really inspiring the next generation of musicians, youngsters, students. We will be able to welcome guest artists from all around the world with pride. That is now really one of the greatest concert halls, not only in Canada, but in the world. But I also want to leave, especially the alumni, with this thought. We teach always with 2 instruments. We have many classes with 2 instruments that are and should be matching in sound world, in colors, and in collaboration. So perhaps it's just a little seed in your thoughts. It's like we have 2 amazing winter tires on our car, but the other 2 are still pretty sketchy. So there's plenty of space for your generosity to make sure that we have a balanced car and that we will be able to safely transform our students into the road of professional artists and musicians. So thank you, first of all, for your generosity already and for being here, and Mark Kramer's absolutely tireless work to make sure we have the best of the best. Thank you.
We will perform 3 pieces: Waltz, Pas de Deux, and Galop from Souvenirs by the great American composer Samuel Barber. Samuel Barber ranks among the most venerated American musical figures of the 20th century. His music is widely admired for its fervent lyricism and expressive immediacy. Throughout his lifetime, he has consistently been among classical music's most frequently performed American composers. Barber's compositional language can be classified as neo-romantic. Barber originally composed Souvenirs in 1952 for 1 piano, 4 hands, to play with his friend Lincoln Christie. After great success, he was suggested to orchestrate for ballet and to collaborate with renowned dancer and choreographer Todd Bolender. He subsequently arranged this score for piano solo, and solo adapted it as an orchestral suite. Souvenirs reflect Barber's nostalgia. The music captures Barber's fondness for New York, evoking that city's imagined divertissement in setting of the Hotel Plaza in New York, the year about 1914, an epoch of the first tangos. Barber wrote, "Souvenirs remembered with affection, not in irony or with tongue-in-cheek, but in amused tenderness." The work is a suite of 6 miniatures, each based on traditional dance form. You will listen to the 3 selections from the beautiful suite. The opening waltz begins with a stylish introduction before settling into a graceful, charming melody. The Pas de Deux introduces a darker atmosphere with an air of seductive mystery. Souvenirs conclude with a rollicking galop. Enjoy.
We have one more special treat. These pieces are hilarious. Jorge Cordova was a guest composer here at the BU Music Festival in 2008, and he was a wonderful composer to have around campus. He came to so many rehearsals. He really encouraged and supported us. I was a student here at the time, and he really came and supported so many of our projects, and it was just fabulous. And I've got a lot of great memories from that week, but I'm afraid none is better than after the concert, we all went to the campus bar with Jorge, and he ordered tequila for everyone. And he said, you know, in Mexico, we say it is like the kick of the donkey. Do you know this animal? So, in honor of Jorge and in honor of a new piano, a couple donkey kicks for you all.
That was incredible. What a great concert. Thank you so much, Everett. Thank you so much, Megumi. Thank you so much, Alexander. Before I let you go, you were an incredible audience. Amazing. Thank you for being here and being so fun. There were a lot of words going through my head, but that was the best choice. I have to thank, and I'll be very brief, but it would be so wrong for me not to thank the incredible people who work in the music office, Bobby, Terry, and Joyce. Behind the scenes, scheduling, moving things around, not furniture, thankfully, that used to happen, but making things like this possible for all of us. Jogo Pishurov, front row, sound. Person that we won't see behind stage, Paul Madriga, who's controlling lights, training students, making sure the piano is in place. So Paul Madriga, and then people that you did see are fantastic students who are working backstage. I think we saw Dane, and I think we saw Eugene. Front of house, we saw Anil. He was greeting you as you came in, so I want to thank them. 4 people from our advancement and alumni relations area who also made this happen. Carla, Shauna, Nick Brown, former student here in the School of Music, and Paige Cuvalier. So thank you so much to those 4. Who am I forgetting? David, for being here and introducing the concert. A lot of presidents don't make time for things like this. We're very fortunate to have one who does. We have a full concert series this year, so please, we love having you here. Please come back. November, we've got, I think, 3 incredible concerts. One which will feature Megumi in a full-length recital, so please put those on your calendars. There is a reception in the faculty lounge, so please, I hope you all feel warmly welcome, and I look forward to seeing you over there. And I think that probably concludes tonight's concert, so thanks so much. Safe travels getting back to where you are, and have a great time at homecoming.